Welcome back to Small Caps. My name is Kerry Stevenson, and today I am talking with the New Look Mithril Resources, ASX code MTH. There's a lot going on here, ladies and gentlemen. That's why it's going to be an exciting chat with John Skeet. He's the Managing Director and CEO of Mithril. They've got a project in Mexico called the Copalquin. John, I got it right this time.
Exactly.
You know, sometimes these names, Copalquin, not Copalquin. Copalquin project in Mexico. Now, these guys have done it before. So, John, I want to start off by just explaining to our listeners, you know, this is almost like the New Look Mithril. This is, you had a private company called Sun Minerals. Let's just talk about how you came across Mithril and how you've done this before, you know the province, what's happening and how this came about.
Okay, well, thanks, Kerry. So the four directors of Sun Minerals, we'd all worked together on a number of different projects, sometimes together, sometimes separately, for about the last 25 years or so in the Sierra Madre region of Mexico. So that's a gold, silver province. There's a lot of history there, a lot of successful producers operating there currently. And, you know, a huge amount of gold and silver has come out of that part of the world, you know, over the last, particularly the last 20 years or so, but certainly all through since the Spanish times. And so the last major one that we all worked on together was the Palmarejo project, which was about 80 kilometers north of where Copalquin is. And so we've all worked there before. We're very familiar with the country and the region. We've got a lot of contacts there. And so we acquired this project in 2017, and then we you know, during this the slow period in the junior resources sector, we kept things going there. We kept everything in good standing, got everything sorted out from a legal point of view, because there were a few little problems with the concessions. And then we were introduced to the guys at Mithril last year, and then we decided we could make a good transaction there that would make all shareholders and stakeholders very happy, and most importantly, get some important drilling done there at the Copalquin project. So we had our first attempt at that was early this year, and we got tripped up by the pandemic turmoil in the markets, but that ended up being very good for gold and silver. So we pushed ahead with that. We completed that transaction by the end of May this year, and then we started drilling in July, and we've almost finished our maiden drill program at Copalquin.
Wow! So the maiden drill program is almost. Did COVID have no impact over there in Mexico? Because excuse me, I know that a lot of us sitting here in Australia, we look at Mexico and think, well, we can't travel, you can't get there. But are you traveling to Mexico at the moment?
Yes, I went there. I was there for the start of the drill program in July and August, and then I've been back for a month or so, and I'm actually heading off again tomorrow, and I'll be there for the remainder of the drilling this month. And we'll also be doing some follow-up holes at the various target areas and some of the smaller targets that we haven't done much work on through November, and then we'll be finishing the drilling there by the first week of December. So it's it's an isolated project, so it has its pluses and minuses. So, you know, it makes it difficult to get things there, but it also means that it hasn't really been affected by the crisis that's been going on, you know, particularly in the Northern Hemisphere and in North America. And I mean, the major population centers have been the most affected, but the smaller population centers, the less densely populated states like Durango and Chihuahua State, where we are, haven't been terribly, you know, affected by the pandemic, and we've managed to keep our crews safe and keep everyone working there. We have with our drilling contractor, we have strict protocols about testing before we go out to the site, and but otherwise most of the workforce are there living locally, and it's worked out well for us so far.
John, you mentioned a short time ago that the previous project you had was just 70 miles or 70 kilometers north. So you know this area really well. Why Copalquin, and how did you come across this particular project, and why this project? Because it's gold, silver, isn't it? That's
right, yeah. It's an entire mining district. So it was actually that and another project were actually advertised on a Mexican website that's run by a US geologist. It's been there for a few years, called the Mexico Mining Center. And so we saw that those projects were advertised. They looked interesting, and they were available for sale or for option. And it had turned out that I actually did know the vendor from the days I was in Chihuahua with on the Palmarejo project. So he was very keen to work with us, and so when I went there in early 2017, even though we looked at a number of other properties, this one was the standout. It was probably the more difficult one to get started on because it is a bit more isolated. There's no actual road into the property, but it really was a jewel box, really, because there was 30 plus historic mines in the district, a good size area, 7,000 hectares, and underexplored. There had been 2 campaigns of exploration by Canadian juniors in the past, but the timing for both those companies wasn't ideal, but they did produce some good results that we've had the benefit of over the last few years that we've had the property.
John, you just said something a moment ago there. You said a district. So Copalquin is a whole district, is it? So it's not just this is our tenement, this is an area here. And you said 7,000 hectares. So, I mentioned it before, what attracted you to it is are you saying that there's not been a lot of work done in and around here? And are you also saying that if one doesn't hit the mother lode, maybe the next one will? So there's, I guess, diversification involved.
Yes, there's certainly there's at least half a dozen big target areas. So they're fairly spread out. There's the three that we're drilling at the moment are closer together, and that's where the bulk of the drilling that was done by the previous explorers was done, mostly in one deposit called El Cometa, and that's a near surface, very shallow one. So you can understand why that was the focus of the earlier exploration attempts there. But there's a number of multi-level mines that were operated in the late 1800s, and they're well documented in the old engineering and mining journals. And there's been a number of smaller companies have gone through, done some mapping. Also, the Geological Survey of Mexico has done some great mapping of the underground workings. Some of them we can't get into now; they've either collapsed or they're flooded. But there's half a dozen multi-level mines there that are quite, they're decent sized exploration targets. And, when you see extensive workings, some big stopes, I mean, that's a good sign that those are very prospective for future, bigger resources. So like with Palmarejo, for example, there was an historic mine there, and the old workings there ended up being about 5% of the total resource that was defined there. Okay. So reasonably significant, but certainly a lot of upside there, besides just what was previously mined.
On that project you were working on, Palmarejo, did that then get taken out? Because you've worked in Mexico before, is it important that you've got, I guess, a history of working there and doing it successfully? Because I think in the past you have made money for shareholders.
Yeah, well, that's always the objective, the overall objective, and
doesn't always happen though, John.
Exactly, but we do what we're good at, what we love doing, which is exploring for gold and silver, and then putting those into production. So we've put a number of, as a group, we've worked together in different combinations, but we've put a number of projects into production, not just in Mexico, but in Australia and the Republic of Georgia, So we're experienced with seeing, we're looking for the important aspects of projects to see whether they are actually, capable of being developed. So Copalquin, it is a project that we would be looking at putting into production, and that's how we always approach these things, and that drives the quality of the work that you do, and it makes sure that you do explore in a way that that is for the best outcome of the project itself. So,
John, what about funding? Because you go up to Mexico. I know it's not. You can get a lot done. You're in a mining district, but you have got potentially multiple deposits. Are you well funded to get to the next stage?
Yes, we've got. We did a second funding round in July after we did our rights issue on the acquisition of Sun by Mithril, and that we took the opportunity then to have sufficient funding for the 5,000 meter maiden drill program, and then to do a fair amount of follow-up work that we expected would come out of that program. So we're well funded into early next year, and during that time we're going to have a very good news flow of drill results coming out from these various mine areas that we're exploring now. And the purpose of this program isn't to come up with resources early on. It's really to drill test these various deposits, mainly focusing around La Soledad, El Cometa, and El Refugio, which were significant producers in the past and very high grades. And we want to get a sense for how extensive those high grades are, and then we really have to do a systematic exploration program on all of these. So with the upside that you get from these narrower vein deposits, these high grade deposits in Mexico and in this part of the country, is that you need to systematically drill those and look for the ore shoots, which are the things that really add the ounces to these deposits. So while you might be just stepping out, drilling along, a vein that might be 3 to 4 meters in width, it's suddenly when you hit a what's called a clavo or an ore shoot, which may be 10 to 20 meters in width, and that's where you can get these very high grades, and you can add a lot of ounces to the resource. So,
and is that fairly common, John, to get these high grade shoots that are coming? Because I mean, you've got a lot of experience over there. You've found these before, and I guess there's two questions here. Is that common? B, I guess, why hasn't somebody else looked in this area before you guys?
Well, look, there has been work done in the past there, and I think some of the focus of previous workers there had been, to get historic mines up and running again, rather than going there and looking at the bigger picture. So that was the case. That's what the management did at Palmarejo. Looked at it. There was an historic mine there. I mean, you wouldn't try and get that into production again, but it was the opportunity there was to systematically explore along those outcrop structures that were clear indicators of gold and silver mineralization. And it was the 76th hole that was put through there that intersected a 1 million ounce ore shoot. So that's what changed the scale of that property. And there ended up being five ore shoots at Palmarejo that contributed to the 3 million ounce gold equivalent that was defined there. So it was
these ore shoots can be 1 million ounces. Is that what you?
Well, in that case, it was 1 million ounces. It was a fantastic intersection. It was like 28 meters at over 30 grams gold equivalent.
Wow.
So that one hole. So, and the previous the miners there back in the late 1800s were only meters from that ore shoot. When they stopped development. So that those opportunities do exist there, and that's the same sort of thing that other explorers find in that part of the world. That's what at La Soledad, the main part of the workings there was an ore shoot that was stoped out, and that's what provided all the high grade ounces that were mined historically there, and also some of the other deposits in the district. So we know these ore shoots exist there. But sometimes there are surface indications of these down deeper, and other times you just have to go and just be there systematically drilling it, and not be lucky, but know that you're drilling in the right place to locate these, and these are what will build the ounces in that property.
And I guess it's being systematic about how you do your drill out program as well. What's Mexico like as a jurisdiction?
It has a very good it's got a very strong mining industry. There's a lot of there's good professionals there. We have all our geologists, besides our chief geologist, who's Paul Stewart, who's from the US and he lives in Mexico. Our entire workforce of geologists are all local. There's a lot of good schools in Mexico churning out good mining professionals, well qualified, and there's a lot of companies, Mexican and foreign companies, working in Mexico. It's a big industry. Exploration and production is very important to the Mexican economy, and the Mexican government has very good process to get through permitting for exploration right through to getting the environmental authority for mining. And we've as a group ourselves, we've done that a number of times. We've successfully permitted mines to be developed and to go into production.
John, it's probably a lot easier than being in Australia, quite frankly.
Well, yes, maybe it's what you get familiar with, yeah.
John, what can investors be expecting in the coming months from Mithril with this new direction? Sounds exciting. You know the district. It is, as you said before, this is a mining district with potentially multiple deposits. So what can people be expecting in the coming months?
Well, over the next month and a half or so, we'll have most of our drill results will be released to the market. So as the assay results come in batches, we'll be able to assess those and look at putting out news releases around those batches of results. The labs are getting, their turnaround times are getting very quite long now as the North American season hots up. This is the ideal time of the year to be doing drilling in the northern part of Mexico. The rainy season has stopped and it's the cooler months. And also as some of the states, their restrictions from the COVID, start to ease, some of the companies are getting back to work again. So we're probably looking at about a 4 or 5 week turnaround from when we complete a hole to when we actually get results back, which is a little bit frustrating, but it doesn't really affect the way that we drive the program, because we have a specific lot of holes that we want to do in each area, and we just wait for the results to come back while we're drilling another particular area, and then we might go back to that first area and do some follow-up holes based on the results that we've received. So the bulk of those results will be received by the end of say the middle of November, and then we'll have some other not wildcat holes exactly, but they'll be the first holes that were put into deposits like San Manuel, like Constancia, which are quite a bit further away from this main area of activity, and Los Reyes, and we'll have a few holes in each of those, and that'll be very interesting to see what we find with those, and we'll be reporting those around the middle to late December.
And John, you're heading off tomorrow. Do you have to quarantine over there in Mexico, or is it just when you come back this side?
No, just when it's just coming back. So when I get there, there's no quarantine requirement. I will have a COVID test once I get there, and I'll wait a few days, and then I'll head out to the project. I'll drive out to our field office, which is about 20 kilometers from the project, and then I'll fly in by light aircraft into Copalquin. And I'll be meeting up with Hall there, and we'll be looking at the first holes going into the exciting El Cometa prospect, which is where some very high-grade intersections were achieved by the previous 2 explorers, and we're excited to see what we find there.
What did the previous explorers find? Do you remember what they were finding?
Yeah, there were several good intersections, 10 to 15 meters or so at within those meters at several hundred grams gold and thousands of grams silver. So
several hundred grams gold.
Yeah, that's right. There was a good intersection that was about over 100 grams gold, and within that there were 2 multi-hundred gram intersections. So we don't know whether they're going to be nuggety effect in those, whether they're repeatable, or but we'll be drilling near that area. We will be looking to extend that. We don't know whether those near surface resources are continuous, how continuous they are, whether they're lenses or whether there's multiple lenses of high grade. So that's what this program of fairly shallow holes, about 50 meters, will give us a good understanding of that of the geology in that area and how extensive it is.
Just finally, John, I just wanted to ask you, is it important you've worked in this area before, is it the same sort of geological structure? So you've got an understanding, is it the same sort of where you are now? So in other words, has your background enabled you to have a better understanding?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like we're just going back to Palmarejo again, that's ended up being as has other ones around in that area, it becomes an epithermal center for gold and silver. So it's not just one deposit. So Palmarejo is currently there's 3 deposits being mined there. There were 2 other deposits that Bolnisi had located before the transaction with Core, and Core has gone on and completed the exploration in those other areas, and there's actually developed underground mines on those. So there's currently 3 underground mines there feeding a central processing plant, and it's now become the Palmarejo complex. And Pinos Altos, which is being developed by Agnico, a major out of Canada, similar sort of scenario there, multi mines, and that's how Copalquin will end up. It'll be an epithermal center for gold and silver. It'll probably be several mines feeding a central processing facility, and maybe there'll be smallish tonnage, but very expect them to be fairly high grade. There may be there's an opportunity there also for some bulk tonnage, lower grade resources that'll be near surface. So there's a lot to look at there and get our heads around. But the intention there is to build ounces and to get something into production over the next few years.
Value for shareholders. Well, as I often say to our listeners out there, you can have the best asset in the world, but it's about management as well. And John, you've done this before. You're in the same sort of geological area. I wish you all the best. And with these results coming out, let's have a chat again, maybe mid-November, and update our listeners at that time. Enjoy the trip back to Mexico, and enjoy not being in quarantine for 2 weeks.
I am looking forward to it.
Thank you so much for joining us today, John.
It's been a pleasure talking. Thank you.